My ex is out of her mind. She tries to defame my fiancé and goes behind her back to get her caught in a scandal. Oh, lucky for me, I have a friend, Robert, and he has a little trick hidden up his sleeve. And what he does for me is something that I will never forget. Guys, this story's crazy, and I have every single detail.
I'm Steve, a finance manager in one of the leading firms in the city, and everything was going perfectly. I had the perfect job and the perfect girl until Emma decided to show up again in my life. Let's start from the very beginning when Emma stepped into my life. You see, Emma met me at one of my mother's business dinners 2 years ago, and she's the daughter of a well-known business tycoon who has various franchises all over the world and also exercises great power over the city. Who does not want to associate themselves with such a powerful man? My mother, being the highly ambitious and career-driven woman that she is, has shown key interest in his business dynamics. She wants to expand her estate further beyond the boundaries of the city, and a partnership with Emma's father would be the perfect opportunity to do this. So, when she introduced me to Emma that night, I knew it was not for me but for her. After all, her estate was her priority, and I was just a means to broaden it. At first, Emma seemed to be very much a guy's dream girl. The ideal body, the pretty face, the fashion sense of a model, and just the right mix of shy and flirty. She had lots of guys swooning over her. And even I was not immune to her charm. Since the first time I saw her, I've been drawn to the way that she carried herself. Emma also seemed to find me interesting, as she was quite curious to know about my life. We got to talking, and in no time, as both of us had a passion for the finance sector, so we did not even realize that we've spent the entire night conversing about all sorts of stuff. My mother was quite satisfied with my new acquaintance. Over the next few months, Emma and I developed a close relationship, and we were absolutely inseparable. We used to share all types of things, and be the family problems or career issues, you name it, I was accustomed to being alone, as my father had passed away when I was a little boy. My mother had always been busy with her estate, so for once it was good to have someone by my side. And when you spend so much time with a person, feelings are bound to creep in, but when you start feeling so strongly for someone, you also tend to ignore their shortcomings, like when I ignored the various incidents where Emma would lose her calm over absolutely nothing at all. So, 3 months into our friendship, I asked Emma to be my girlfriend. She could not have been happier, and she screamed yes. We told our families, and the happiest of us all was my mother, as she saw this as a chance to try to get close to Emma's father professionally so that he would partner with her firm. We had the dreamiest 2 months, I'm telling ya, as we were both head over heels and could not get enough of each other. We used to have great fun, but everything was going too fast, so a month into our dating, we moved in together. But then the actual issues started. Emma started to be overly possessive of me. She started checking my cell phone, keeping an eye on me, and would fight over the littlest, slightest things. Like why I sat next to a girl on the subway station. I mean, come on. The relationship started getting suffocating for me. I would not have any personal space for myself or even for my friends. She would not even let me and my best friend Robert hang out alone, as she would insist that she wanted to tag along. Eventually, we started fighting a lot, almost daily, and over time the argument started to get more aggressive. I found out that Emma had some serious temper issues, and she used to throw stuff around when we used to fight, and she even pushed me into the wall at times, but I ignored her temper and aggressive behavior for the first few times, as you seem to forgive the people that you love. But one day, all the lines were crossed when Emma threw a glass vase at me during a heated argument about why I should not respond to an email from a woman that I work with. The vase missed me by a mere 2 inches. Moreover, she acted as if it was me at fault. If I had not responded to the woman, she would not have been forced to throw the vase at me. I could not tolerate this any longer. So I told her that we need to break things off, and she was shattered when she heard this. She starts crying manically, throwing fits around and telling me that if I broke up with her, she would ensure that her father did not partner with my mother's estate. I could not believe that she would stoop to such low levels, so I just kept quiet. Once she calmed down a bit and regained her senses, she requested that I give her another try. But I was done with her selfish, egoistic behavior, and I cut her off altogether. I moved out the very next day and moved in with Robert, who was kind enough to offer me a place to crash for as long as I wanted. I did not talk to her at all. She tried to reach me through my friends, and when I did not respond, she talked to my mother about it. And what stunned me was that she weaved entirely a different story in front of my mother. She had told her that I had hit Emma during a heated argument, and she also showed her some fake bruises. Emma's father had told my mother that she should be grateful that his daughter was not pressing any charges against me. I could not believe that the girl I considered to be perfect would turn out to be an evil person. What bothered my mother even more was that this clash between me and Emma severed the chances of her signing a partnership contract with Emma's father, which she was so close to securing. I broke into a fight with my mother over the same. My mother was even more furious than Emma because she was worried about her estate. My mother asked me to mend things with Emma just so she could sign the contract, and I could not believe my mother would be so selfish to keep her business over her child. She said to me, and I quote, "All my life I've been working for you. Now it's your time to pay me back." And the realization hit me I was just a pawn in her big game. After all, her estate was her first child, but I was not going to let her step over my life. So I told her that I would not do as she said, and I lost my calm and shouted at her, and I quote, "Do you even care about your own flesh and blood, or is that brick and mortar building all you care about?" I left my mother's house with this. This led to a lot of strain on me and my mother's relationship, but I was satisfied with my choice as in the next 6 months I got my dream job as a finance manager. And I found Jenny, who was one of the purest souls I've ever laid my eyes upon. I met her through Robert at one of his pool parties. She's an editor at a renowned publishing house, and she understands me, and for once, she's someone who puts my needs before her own. After living with her for a few months, she feels like the perfect match for me, and due to this reason, last month I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. We're planning a wedding for next month, and Jenny is very excited about the same thing, but the only person not happy with our wedding is my mother. She does not like Jenny much, because she feels like she lacks a bit of status because she is from a middle-class family. My mother is still very adamant about Emma being the perfect fit for me, and it seemed for the last few days at least that she's been plotting something against me and Jenny. Her plan just came to fruition, as Emma is here in front of me after so many months of separation, and Emma comes and tries to hug me in front of my fiancé and says, "Oh, did you miss me, Stevie?" I'm astounded by her behavior. I step back and give her a look of disgust. She tells me in her cocky voice, "I hope I didn't miss much of the wedding festivities, but I'm here now." Emma being here cannot be good at all. I'm sure she'll try her best to create a rift between me and Jenny. What are her actual intentions for coming here? I'll never know. Did my mother invite her over to try to break me and Jenny up? What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. Today's story is about to be a heck of a roller coaster of drama and deceit and, well, a little bit of surprises, because I have some groundbreaking updates. I've compiled the entire story right here for you guys, and the first update takes place 5 days after Emma arrived out of the blue. If you guys are new to the channel and you want daily videos, the best way to get that is super simple. Hit that subscribe button. You can find it located underneath this video, and don't forget to hit the bell notifications as well, so you get alerts whenever a video's uploaded. Here's your first update, 5 days later. It's been 5 days since Emma just appears out of the blue into our happily going lives. In the first few days, Jenna did not like her presence. I honestly don't blame her because Emma's getting on my nerves as well. She tries to act all sweet and get friendly with Jenny, and I warn Jenny not to believe anything and fall into Emma's trap. But my mother's forcing Jenny to hang out with Emma, and it seems like it's working because Jenny has started to trust them and likes hanging out with them. All three of them go shopping, go out to eat. It's sort of weird. And I feel like Emma's just scheming something against us because a girl like that is evil and Emma can never change. I just have to figure out a plan to expose exactly how toxic Emma is and break my mother's notion of Emma being this perfect little role model of a girl. I don't like the idea of Jenny hanging out with my mother and Emma because every time she's with them, they try to undermine her job and joke about her status. Jenny does not show that these things affect her, but it is affecting her self-confidence as she's not herself anymore, and just tries to be more like Emma. But I guess she just wants to fit in with my mother, so that she likes her a bit better. Jenny is so busy these days, balancing work and her new social life, and I can tell the writer she is working for seems to be a big deal for her and her publishing house, so there's a lot of pressure on her to deliver the perfect book. Emma hosted a party last night and she invited all of us, but I was suspicious of what she might be planning, so I also invited Robert to keep an eye on her, and the party was all right with drinks, music, games, and all of us had a good time. I found that Jenny was chit-chatting very happily with Emma, so I went to them to find Jenny talking about the famous writer that she's working for, and if she pulls the job off well, she will get a promotion. I'm very proud of her for working so hard and diligently. Emma also seemed happy about it, and we all toasted to Jenny's success. Emma seemed very interested in Jenny's work, so she asked Jenny to show her the book that she had been working on, saying, and I quote, "Jenny, I know how hard you've been working on this, babe, so I think you deserve appreciation from all of us." It was a bit suspicious, but I did not think much of it. Jenny brought her laptop to show Emma her work, and I left the girls to chit-chat as my mother called me out to this point. My mother seemed to be in a very jolly mood. "Sweetie, will you go get me another drink?" I went to get another dirty martini for my mother, and when I came back she was smiling while looking dotingly at Emma and Jenny. As I approached her, she said this, "I'm sorry I've been so harsh to old Jenny, but hanging out with her these days just proved to me that she can be just like us. Honey, you have my blessing. I do love Emma, but if Jenny makes you happy, then you should be with her." Well, I was very happy to finally get my mother's support, and I could not believe my ears for once. But not wanting to jinx it, I just hugged her. The rest of the night went by in an absolute flash. Dancing, music, you name it. It is true what they say. Time flies when you're having fun. But all of it vanished, and all hell broke loose the next morning because I woke up to Jenny crying so loudly. I asked her what happened, and she showed me the news article. The book that she had been working on had been published under her name as the writer, not by the publishing house Jenny worked for, but by their rivals. Jenny had received a letter from the writer threatening to sue her for stealing his book, and another letter from the publishing house firing her instantly. Jenny was so stunned to even speak. She could not figure out how all of this happened. But the moment I recalled last night, it all made sense to me. Emma, that's why she was so interested in Jenny's work, huh? And my mother being nice to me and accepting Jenny, that was all a ruse to keep me away from them, while Emma stole Jenny's work. She wanted to defame Jenny and destroy her career because no other publishing house would hire an editor involved in theft and scandals. At that moment, all that mattered to me was to comfort Jenny and tell her that it would be okay. But in my mind, only one thing was going on. I wanted to restore my fiancé's honor, and it can only be done in one way: by destroying Emma. I'll make her pay for what she did to my Jenny, and I'll prove to my mother that she bet on the wrong horse. Update number 2. I tried to find Emma that day, but she was nowhere to be seen. So I went to my mother instead to confront her, and she just played dumb, as if she was not understanding anything. "Sweetie, I'm your mother? Why would I do something like this to your fiancé?" But I've known that woman since my childhood, and nothing mattered to her more than her estate, and she could even betray her son by getting ahead in it. So I did not believe even a fragment of her sugar-coated words. I even asked her, "Where's Emma? I know she's the mastermind behind this plan, Mom." She answers, "Oh, that poor girl that you left heartbroken. She's too pure to carry out something like this, honey. How can you doubt her even for a second?" I don't know how the magic wand Emma has used on my mother was working, but she's not ready to hear a single word against her. But she's my mother, and I want her by my side. I want her to be kind to my fiancé, so I want to show her the real side of Emma. I've also been trying to reach Robert because he basically disappeared unexpectedly from the party last night and has not talked to me since. I need to talk to him about the whole situation. I'm sure he must have gotten a good solution for it, but I cannot leave Jenny alone in this condition. She wasn't even speaking to anyone. Watching her like this broke my heart further, and it fueled the raging fire for revenge against Emma. I called Jenny's best friend so that she could accompany her while I went to meet Robert. It might take me some time, as Robert lives on the other side of the city, and as soon as Jenny's friend came, I left the house, promising Jenny to be back soon. I'm so glad that I went to see Robert, because he had all the answers to my problems. You see, he had the perfect solution to save Jenny's job and make Emma pay. As I told him last night to keep an eye on Emma, he observed her using Jenny's laptop a bit suspiciously, looking around, and just at the right moment, he recorded a video of Emma stealing Jenny's story. It would be evidence enough to put Emma behind bars for theft and prove Jenny innocent of all the charges. Robert further told me that the reason he was not able to contact me was that he was investigating the scope of Emma's plan further. He found out that Emma had made a deal with the rival publishing firm owner to pay double the value of the book if he published it overnight with Jenny's name on it. He found evidence about this too when he contacted the rival publisher. This piece of news made me jump with joy, and this evidence was enough for the publishing firm not to fire Jenny and free her of all the accusations, and her career would not be jeopardized. But I knew it would take more than this to convince my mother of Emma's true nature, and for that, I will need to show her the side of Emma that I saw all these months ago. So, me and Robert came up with a brilliant plan just to expose Emma, not just in front of my mother, but also in front of her colleagues who admire her so much. Update number 3. It's the next day, and I'm ready to pull my plan off and destroy Emma's career, just as she tried to destroy my Jenny's career. Emma texted me last night. "Oh, heard about Jenny's job. I hope she's okay. You guys can always count on me if you need a friend." I can't believe how double-faced people can be. But I decided to let her think she was winning. So I kept going with her pretense and asked if she could meet me for coffee the next day, as I could use something to take my mind off of things. As she walked right into my trap, seeing it as an opportunity to find joy in my misery, the next day I invited her over to the house while Jenny was away with her friend, who took her out so that she might feel better. Emma arrived right on time, and I let her in, acting all gloomy as if my life was falling apart right in front of me. But I could barely do anything to save it. She had the most sympathetic expression on her face, and I made coffee while she made herself comfortable in the living room. Then we started conversing about the whole mess lately, and she dared to talk me about a job role for Jenny and her father's company. I've been handling my dad's finances since last year, and truly, with all these new franchises, it's getting a little too much. I could use a bit of help. So, there's this position of my assistant open if Jenny's looking for a job. Her attitude towards Jenny stung me like a bee. But I kept calm, keeping in my mind, so I said to her these words. You know, Jenny is more into writing, not finances. She gave this whole judgmental expression like beggars can't be choosers, and she said, But, after the whole stunt Jenny pulled, it's hard to get a job in writing in any field like that. And that was it. I could no longer stay calm. She did the whole thing and was talking about my fiancé like she was a criminal or something, so I started instigating her, because I knew she could not control her temper, no matter how sweet she pretended to be, so I said to her, I know you're jealous of Jenny, because you could never be as good as her. The expression on her face instantly changed from calm to angry, and she gets up from the couch and blurted back, Jealous? That middle-class filth! She wishes that she were me. I was enraged, and she had no right to talk about Jenny like this, so I retorted back. I think you're the one wishing you were here engaged to me. Isn't that why you've done what you've done and what you've wanted? A dream wedding with me, so you could control me all your life, so you could just step over me and use me in your sick power games. And I guess this was the thing that set the plan off perfectly. As on hearing these words, Emma picked up her coffee mug and tried to slam it directly at me. But I was already careful, knowing her nature, so I ducked at the right moment, and the cup hit the wall instead. But inside, I was truly satisfied. My plan had gone off just as I planned, because Emma could never change. Had she changed, she would not have helped me unknowingly wreck her good girl image. As the cup missed me, Emma got up and left the house, enraged and cursing over the top of her voice. But I had what I needed. I just wanted the perfect moment to execute my plan. There's only one little hiccup in the plan. How am I going to get everyone together when I expose their personal favorite, Emma McKenzie? Update number 4. The perfect opportunity presented itself on a silver platter in the next week's city newspaper. Emma's father was, getting another office building in the city, inaugurating it. And I guess who's in charge of this new building? Yes, his lovely, quote, perfect daughter. There could be no better chance to expose the real face of Emma in front of everyone whom she fools with her perfect girl image. So everything else was in place. My mother was already invited to the inauguration ceremony, and there were renowned names in the industry invited, and the cherry on top was the presence of the media and news reporters. So not only will I expose Emma in front of her colleagues, but also in front of the whole world. But the only issue was that after last week's fiasco, Emma invited neither me nor Jenny to the ceremony, and Robert solved that problem for me. He had good connections in the industry, so he was well acquainted with one of Emma's subordinates, who was handling the tech and graphics team. And through the subordinate, we got to know that the whole staff had made a montage as an acknowledgement of Emma's hard work and good nature towards her employees. We managed to sneak into the venue earlier than the other guest, and through the subordinate, I also brought Jenny with me, along with Robert. I had already told Jenny about Emma's involvement in her defamation, so even Jenny was fueled with rage for Emma. We met the subordinate backstage and gave him a video recording, which was to replace the montage that they made for Emma. Me and Robert had managed to get everything that happened at my house the last week on camera. And there was also the video of Emma stealing Jenny's story to prove that she was a thief and the world's biggest hypocrite. The subordinate was hesitant to switch the montage with our video as he was scared that he might lose his job. But Robert convinced him and offered him a deal he could not resist, along with a job in Robert's law firm, and now our plan was finally coming to fruition. The guests started to fill in, and soon the whole venue was full with about 200 people, along with Emma, her father, and my mother in the front row. Well, I was happy my mother was getting a front row seat to witness the absolute downfall of the, quote, poor little girl she wanted her son to marry. As soon as the event started, people were talking about the glory that old Emma and her father had achieved. And then, the moment came and no one knew I was there, as I was backstage the whole time. So when I went on stage, I could see the shocked expression on my mother's face, but that was nothing compared to Emma's. She looked like she had been struck by lightning. So I started my speech. Hello, everyone. Some of you might not know me, but Emma is my dear friend and ex-girlfriend. We shared so many beautiful moments, and she was also there with me and my fiancé when we were passing through a very tough time. Everyone glanced at Emma admiringly, and she passed an uncomfortable smile at me, so I continued. So, I would like to thank Emma for being my greatest friend, and here's a tribute to her from me and my fiancé. Just as I stopped, the video started on the screen. First that of Emma stealing Jenny's story, and then that of Emma throwing the coffee mug at me, and everybody was stunned. Emma and her father and my mother stood up from their places, and I continued. Oh, I forgot to add that Emma has some serious temper issues for which she should definitely see a therapist. And among her various talents, she's also pretty good at stealing other people's work, and then framing them about the crime she's committed. Emma's father looked like he wanted nothing more than just to disappear into the thin air at that moment. People started to rebuke both Emma and her father, and the reporters noted that, well, the pictures, as they had hit the jackpot. Emma wanted to leave, but my mother held her hand, and she slapped Emma right across her face, saying, "And all this time I trusted you over my own son?" I had already informed the authorities of the crime committed by Emma, and she was charged with a huge fine and a volunteer work of a year probation. She was also put into a therapy program for her temper. The news was all over the next day's newspaper, and Emma's company suffered a huge loss due to it. So, I hope she learned her lesson and will try to work on herself. As for my mother, she deeply regrets the way that she treated me and Jenna. She has been trying to repair the bond with both of us, and we're willing to give her another chance. She even passed a family heirloom over to Jenny as a token of trust in her acceptance of Jenny as my partner. Jenny got to keep her job, as I had already informed her publishing house about the whole misunderstanding, and she also got to continue working for the renowned writer on another of his upcoming books. I hope this time everything goes well, and Jenny gets the promotion she very much deserves. Guys, it's been a month since all this went down, and Jenny and I have gotten married last week. It was a very small ceremony with close friends only and a bit of family, but we could not have wished for anything more. The whole journey here was a total roller coaster of emotions, but I guess that's life. And I'm glad Jenny and I made it through it all.
So, a lot of people in the comment section, to my surprise, were saying that OP went too far exposing his ex in front of the world and basically getting her probation exposed in the newspaper. But guys, in my opinion, what she did was not right. I mean, being jealous just because she can't be with OP and going behind someone's back, stealing their hard work and making a deal with another publisher, I mean, that's absurd and absolutely not right. So let me know your thoughts about that. Here's the question. Do you think OP's ex deserved all the justice that was found in the story? Drop your comments down below in the comment section. Thank you guys for joining me on today's video. I do hope you enjoyed it. My name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate similar stories every single day, so hit that subscribe button. Make sure you stop by tomorrow, see what stories we're doing. I'll catch you guys then, but just remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya!